The groom suddenly grabbed a plate full of food and threw it onto the floor. Sauce splattered dramatically on the carpet.
My bad. My hand slipped.
The groom looked down at me and laughed heartily, announcing to everyone,
This buddy of mine sitting here is a janitor. He's used to handling dirty stuff. Let's leave it to him. Please, janitor.
When I refused, the bride stood in front of me.
My husband called you social trash. Don't you dare defy the elite.
Then, my wife appeared and tapped the bride on the shoulder from behind. With a beaming smile, she said,
I'll have my dad fire your husband.
Right after the newlyweds were hit with this shocking truth, they collapsed to their knees. My name is Kevin, 26 years old. During my sophomore year in college, my parents died in an accident. Engulfed in sorrow, I dropped out of college and was despairing in life. But with someone's support, I managed to recover and now work in cleaning. At 25, I met and married Sarah, who was a megabank employee and a fellow graduate from a top university. She was a corporate sales representative at the branch, light on her feet and detailed in her work, earning her a reputation for steady sales performance and whispers of a future executive role.
My dream is to work in the heart of the American economy.
I always felt insecure during our dating days, wondering if I, with my mismatched educational and professional background, could truly make her happy. However, Sarah laughed it off, saying it didn't matter. I still remember the day she tearfully accepted my proposal as if it were yesterday. She had her challenges too.
How is it?
Sarah asked as she stared at me from across the table while I ate. Returning home early from work, for the first time in a while, she had earnestly prepared dinner, a cream pasta, following a recipe video. Honestly, it wasn't great. The noodles were overcooked, the sauce bland, and the broccoli pieces were tough. But I was happy with her effort, regardless of the taste. Yeah, it's delicious. I ate heartily, trying not to let on. But Sarah, with a disappointed look, propped her cheek with her hand.
Kevin, your nose swells when you lie.
I instinctively covered my nose.
Why? I followed the recipe exactly.
Seeing her downcast, I couldn't help but laugh.
That's terrible. Laughing at me.
Sarah pouted and glared at me. Sorry, it's just, you're so competent at work, yet cooking seems to be your only flaw. Upon hearing this, she crossed her arms and analyzed herself with a stern look.
See, my parents are divorced, right? I was taken by my mom, but she was too busy with work to cook much. So it was mostly takeout or dining out. I guess I just never got interested in cooking. So, it's all my dad's fault.
I looked at my pouting wife and finally asked something I had been curious about. Do you see your father?
Once when I started my job, and just a few phone calls a year.
It's better to see him when you can. You never know when you won't get the chance again. I was reminded of my deceased parents.
Kevin.
Sarah placed her hand over mine on the table and said, I'll think about it. That day, I was cleaning the exterior of an office building. It had been a while since I teamed up with a 45-year-old cleaner named James. James is a veteran janitor with a first-class building cleaning technician certificate. He was the person the boss trusted the most. The day's work involved high-altitude tasks performed by lowering ropes from the rooftop. Since the work is done while sitting on a swing-like seat, it's referred to as swing stage work. I'm not particularly afraid of heights, but the work was risky, and one mistake could lead to an accident. So I was nervous.
Kevin, don't neglect checking the equipment. The boss specifically asked me to ensure you don't have any accidents. We can have Sarah become a young widow.
Yes. I took James's words to heart and performed each task with care. After 5 hours, all the work was safely completed. I was cleaning up the pylons and ropes used in the no-entry area during the work. Suddenly, my name was called.
Kevin.
I turned around in surprise, and there was Bob, who was in the same seminar group in college. Bob. I removed my helmet in shock. Bob looked me up and down, scrutinizing me from head to toe, and sneered as he said,
Seriously? You dropped out of college and became a janitor. That's wild.
Bob has always been this way. He judges people based on their appearance, occupation, and income. He decides how to associate with them based on what benefits him. It's no surprise, but he's still an unlikable guy. What are you doing these days? I asked him while bundling the ropes tiredly.
Me? Oh, nothing impressive. Just a humble banker.
Bob said that deliberately while walking around to face me, straightening his suit collar, and flaunting his company badge. It was a familiar badge. That badge is from Sarah's bank. Bob and Sarah are working at the same bank. I couldn't hide my disturbance. Seeing my reaction, Bob grinned smugly. Looks like you've got it tough. I've got to go now. I wanted to leave quickly, worrying that any further interaction might negatively affect Sarah's work. Then Bob said,
Oh, by the way, I'm getting married next month. A lot of old college buddies will be there, so you should definitely come to the wedding. Everyone would be so happy to see you.
I spat in my mind at the thought. There's no way I'd go out of my way to attend your wedding reception. But I decided to keep it cool, especially since he's Sarah's coworker. It's better to play it safe, not knowing the nature of Bob and Sarah's relationship. That's congratulations. I'd love to attend and celebrate, but unfortunately. Glancing over, I saw Bob smirking at me. He must think I'd be too ashamed of my own background to attend an elite wedding and was trying to make me come up with an excuse for not attending. He probably planned to use this as fodder to mock me while drinking with the others. Fine, if that's how it is, I'll proudly show up. I've got nothing in my life to be ashamed of. I had lost my composure. With a broad smile, I said, Oh, I'd be delighted to attend. Then, Bob looked at me with a surprised expression, his eyes lighting up, as if he had seen something unexpected. His eyes were like those of a hyena that had spotted its prey. With the corners of his mouth lifted, a sly smile appeared on his face. Perhaps he had concocted a plan to make me the butt of the joke in front of the elite crowd attending the reception.
Great, I'll send the invitation.
Bob said that as he left the scene. As I watched his back, I already regretted my decision. Later, the wedding invitation from Bob arrived.
No way. Kevin, you know Bob.
At night, when Sarah returned home, she saw the invitation, addressed to me among the mail on the table, and said that to me while I was preparing dinner in the kitchen. We were in the same seminar during college. It seems Bob works at the same bank as you, Sarah. Do you know him?
Know him? He's my peer, and we transferred this branch at the same time. Now, we work together in corporate sales, so, see?
Sarah said this and pulled out her own invitation from her bag to show me. Are we both attending the same wedding? Knowing that Bob and Sarah were in the same corporate sales department at the same branch made me regret even more that I had agreed to attend.
It's a small world. I had no idea Bob was your friend. I'll try to maintain a better relationship with him from now on, no matter how infuriating it can be.
Sarah said that in a reflective tone while eating dinner. What does that mean? I asked her as I was curious.
Well,
Sarah then told me about her experiences with Bob. Bob is in corporate sales, just like Sarah, but he has a haughty attitude, looking down on others based on their family background and education, often belittling his colleagues. Because of this, teamwork is disrupted. The workplace atmosphere has deteriorated, and it's starting to negatively affect the work of those he has belittled. Although Sarah, with her top sales performance and prestigious university degree, was never looked down upon by him, she had been openly accused by Bob of using her femininity as a weapon. Moreover, he was reportedly making aggressive loans to meet his quotas, and once, when she subtly warned him, he shouted, "Don't talk back to me, woman."
I'm sorry to say this about your friend, but he's the worst. That's why I decided to stay away from him.
He's not my friend. I said that as I sharply put down my fork. I was simply unable to hide my anger.
What? I thought you were close, since you're invited to his wedding.
It's okay. He's been rotten since college. You don't have to deal with him anymore. Sorry for making you feel bad. I said that as if to throw it out.
Why are you apologizing, Kevin?
Sarah looked at me, laughing and seemingly surprised. I usually don't show negative emotions in front of Sarah, so she seemed a bit shocked. Yeah, well. I tried to cover it with a smile, but my agitation was evident. I couldn't stand Bob's flippant remarks, mocking Sarah as just a woman, without knowing how she comes home exhausted, like a worn-out rag, from working late every day. Sarah is not someone who would use her femininity as a weapon. Her sincerity and straightforwardness in everything she does are what I know best about her. I met Sarah 3 years ago, while cleaning the floors of a large building housing several major companies. We have a contract for daily cleaning and a monthly thorough cleaning. That day was for washing the floors in common areas like lobbies and hallways. As it was a weekday, we had to partition the lobby with tape to keep half of it accessible and use specialized machinery for the cleaning. The work progressed smoothly, and the dirty floors quickly regained their shine. I love these moments of looking back at the cleaned areas. Just a little more, let's keep it up, I muttered as I re-energized myself. Then, a young male office worker from some company passed by, returning from outside. As he walked by, he casually threw a trash bag onto the floor, now slick with detergent, and said, "Take care of this too." I picked it up and looked inside. In the trash bag, there were leftovers from a convenience store meal and empty coffee cans, perhaps eaten at some park during rounds outside. "Hey, wait a minute." I called out to the young man's back, but he kept walking without turning around. I was angry but held back, worrying that causing trouble might risk our cleaning contract with the building. Then, I saw a woman snatch the trash bag from my hand and run after the man.
Please wait.
The woman, shouting, sprinted fiercely to chase after him. I watched the scene in astonishment.
Clean up your own trash. Even a kindergartner knows that.
The woman said that as she thrusted the trash bag back at the man waiting for the elevator. Reluctantly, he took it and got on the elevator. She then ran back to me and said with a smile,
"I used to be in track and field."
Her carefree smile instantly captivated me. It was love at first sight, and amidst my fumbling, we exchanged contact information. That was a first in my life. That was how I met Sarah. She's a woman full of justice, who sees things straight. My wife is not someone to be trifled with by a scumbag like Bob. I was constantly worried about Sarah having to endure any more unpleasantness from him. Should I cancel my attendance to Bob's wedding even now? No, canceling at this point might cause trouble. Bob doesn't know we're married, so it might be better to pretend to be strangers at the wedding venue. We got married while you were at the previous branch, so his colleagues wouldn't know me. I said that to Sarah. I didn't want to cause her any more worry, especially since she was already going through a tough time.
Why? Why hide something like that?
Sarah looked puzzled. It's no wonder she didn't understand the situation. To avoid any trouble. Okay. Seeing my serious face, Sarah reluctantly agreed. On the wedding day, the reception was at a top hotel in New York with 500 guests, a grand affair. Bob's bride was a 23-year-old woman named Jasmine, apparently the daughter of a wealthy family owning a restaurant chain. Among the guests, likely business associates of the bride's father, were some VIPs from the city. My seat was on the groom's side among friends. Sarah, sitting at a bank-related table a little away, was pretending to be a stranger as we had promised. As soon as I sat down at the 8-person table, I received chilly looks from Bob's entourage. Then they smirked at me, ostentatiously updating each other on their lives. Names of major firms flew around: top investment banks, major construction companies, leading trading houses. Amidst them, a man named Mike, seated next to me, spoke up.
It's been a while, Kevin. It's been 6 years since you left college, right? What are you doing now?
Mike was the only decent guy I could talk to there. Rumor had it, he started a business in college and was then the CEO of an IT company. Mike, it's been a while. I'm in cleaning.
Mike, give it a rest.
Before I could finish, another guy interrupted.
Don't you feel sorry for him, a dropout who's working as a janitor? A real-life underachiever, sneaking around among the elite. Just leave him be.
Then, the others smirked and sneered within my hearing. Bold of you to show up, and a disgrace to our college." Mike looked at me, troubled, but I gestured, "It's okay." The bride and groom entered, and the reception began, yet the snide comments toward me continued. I was prepared, being Bob's friend, but couldn't understand why my job was such a point of ridicule. Mike, whispering, "Don't mind them," and smiling was my only solace. This continued until the candle service, when the newlyweds came to our table.
Kevin, thanks for coming today. I'm glad you made it.
Bob said that as he looked down at me with a smirk. "Congratulations." I greeted the bride as well. Jasmine, the bride, was young and seemingly beautiful, but her appearance seemed masked by makeup. What bothered me more was her unintelligent way of speaking.
"Bob, my arm's tired, Kevin. You do it."
She said that while puffing her cheeks like a child. Her blush was so heavy, she looked like she had mumps.
Come on, Jasmine. Just a bit more to go. Let's keep it up.
Bob soothed her in a cajoling tone. The others at the table exchanged looks and chuckled. I too had to suppress a laugh while watching this. Suddenly, Bob turned to me with a devilish, pale face.
Kevin, you just laughed, didn't you?
No, not really. I wondered if my inner laughter had inadvertently shown. Then Bob suddenly grabbed a plate with half-eaten food from in front of him and threw it to the floor.
"Hey, no."
Jasmine screamed, almost like a whale. Sauce splashed dramatically on the expensive carpet.
My bad. My hand slipped.
Bob laughed, looking down at me. People from nearby tables turned to see what was happening. A female staff member rushed over to clean up, but Bob stopped her.
No worries, no worries. My friend sitting here is a janitor, used to cleaning up buildings and such. He's accustomed to handling dirty stuff. So let him do it. Please, janitor.
But to ask a guest to do such a thing.
She began, but Jasmine interrupted. Just do what Bob says. And she dismissed the staff. I was beyond angry, just dumbfounded. Jasmine was looking at me with a sneer, just like Bob. Birds of a feather, hug. You two are perfect for each other. I muttered to myself with a laugh.
What?
Bob advanced towards me with a changed facial expression. Ignoring him, I stood up and instructed the staff lady. For now, as a quick fix, wring out a cloth in lukewarm water, soak it with dish soap, and dab it to transfer the stain. You should get it professionally cleaned as soon as possible. Then, I glared at Bob. I'm a professional cleaner. If you want it cleaned, come to my office and make an official request. I was about to walk away, throwing a napkin onto the chair. Then, Jasmine blocked my path.
"Bob called you societal trash. Don't defy the elite."
I looked at her closely, thinking how different she was from Sarah, even though both are women. Then I noticed Sarah standing behind the bride. Sarah. Surprised, I saw Sarah tap the bride's shoulder and say with a big smile,
I'll have my dad fire your husband.
Jasmine brushed off her hand.
What? What are you talking about? That's impossible. Who are you?
Hey, what's up, you drunk? Save the sleep talk for when you're asleep. Outsiders should stay out of it.
Bob tried to push Sarah away. I quickly brushed his hand aside and stood protectively in front of Sarah. Then Tom, the bank's branch manager, appeared, laughing. The atmosphere in the room instantly became tense.
You've got a strong sense of justice, just like your father, Sarah.
Tom, I apologize for the unsightly scene.
Tom, observing Sarah's apologetic demeanor, continued to speak.
I know you're busy, but try to give your dad a call sometimes. He seemed lonely when I saw him at the headquarters recently.
Yes.
Sarah looked down, embarrassed.
Tom, thank you for coming today.
Bob hastily tried to step forward, pushing me aside, but Tom ignored him and spoke to me.
Kevin, it's been a while. How's President Ellie doing?
What?
Bob stared at me, dumbfounded. Tom, sorry for the late greetings. My aunt is as lively as ever, working hard every day. Tom nodded with a smile, saying,
I heard she's starting a new welfare-related business. She's delighted to have you as her successor. Says it gives her work more meaning.
Bob and Jasmine looked at us, utterly confused.
Tom, Sarah's father is? And this guy's just a cleaner, right?
Tom said with a look of disbelief.
Didn't you know? Her father is Alex, the HR director, and Kevin is the nephew of the president of Shiny Corporation, which owns many subsidiaries in cleaning services, and he's the next president. He's also Sarah's husband.
HR director. Next president. Husband.
Bob staggered back, his face turning pale with panic. Jasmine looked bewildered too.
But he was wearing a work uniform and cleaning buildings.
Bob pointed at me as he said that, and Tom, looking impressed, responded.
Their company policy mandates that executives, including those involved in management, undergo several years of field training. Understanding the hardships of the front line is crucial for running a company. It's truly an admirable firm.
Turning to Bob, he continued,
Shiny is a major client of our branch. If this incident leads to a transaction halt, you'll definitely be out on your rear. And if you've soured relations with the HR director too, well, there's no saving you. But hey, wherever you go, do your best with your lovely wife. I must be going. There's more to attend to.
Tom left with a laugh.
Tom, that's impossible.
Bob and Jasmine nervously looked back at us.
Sarah, Kevin,
Bob looked at us alternately, his face twisted into an unsettling smile. Bob, sorry, but we need to leave now. As the next president, I must discuss changing our main bank with the president. When I said that, Sarah also continued.
And I need to call my father urgently.
Bob clung to us.
Please, Sarah. Kevin, aren't we friends?
Friends, that's laughable. I brushed off Bob's hand, saying, You're finished. Bob crumbled to his knees, hanging his head in defeat. Sarah and I left the scene together. Behind us, as we opened the door to leave, Jasmine's screams echoed.
Wait, are you getting fired? This is no joke. Call off the wedding. I won't marry a man like this. Daddy, do something.
The room burst into chaos.
What? You think I want a foolish woman like you? I'm better off.
What did you say?
Sarah and I exchanged glances, and laughed together at the sound. We took a taxi from the hotel, got off near our house at a convenience store, and bought some ready-made meals and beer. Instead of the missed full course of French cuisine, we walked side by side leisurely to our home bathed in the sunset. We felt like we were on a date after a long time. Are you okay with it? Everyone at the bank now knows about your dad. I asked Sarah as we walked in the middle of a small bridge over a river.
I grew up watching my mom struggle after the divorce, unable to forgive my dad for being a workaholic and neglecting his family. That's why I worked desperately hard, choosing a career in banking, often seen as too tough for women, determined not to lose to men or to my father.
Sarah said that with a distant look. Then she continued,
But working at the same bank, I finally understood the hardships my father faced. I think he had his tough times too, so I hope to build a good relationship with him from now on.
Sarah leaned on the railing, gazing at the river, sparkling in the sunset. She then turned to me.
I can feel this way because of you, who always gently supported me. Thank you, Kevin.
Her smile made me blush a little. Let's have dinner with your dad sometime. Sarah nodded happily at my suggestion. Later, according to Sarah, Bob's wedding reception turned into a mess afterward. It wasn't just the bride and groom. A huge fight broke out involving their parents and relatives who had been against the marriage from the start, leading to the cancellation of the reception. The couple split up, and the engagement was broken. As for Bob, he was transferred to a subsidiary of the bank afterward. He was completely off the promotion track. Since that incident, Bob seemed to have become quieter, as if he changed. But people don't change that quickly, so he's bound to slip up again soon. Years later, Sarah was transferred to the main office, working daily in the HR career group, conducting external training and programs to support female employees' growth. She was also putting effort into creating a work environment where women could balance work and parenting, becoming notable as a female executive in the media. As for me, after finishing my field training, I was receiving formal successor training under the president.
You're really looking good in a suit. I wish your brother and sister-in-law could see you.
I spend my days dressed in an unfamiliar suit, accompanying the president on visits to clients. Ellie would sometimes say such things and become tearful. At the end of the day, I stood on the usual bridge and watched the sunset. Lately, I've been feeling how truly fortunate it is to have a fulfilling job. I wish I could tell my younger self, who suddenly lost his parents, dropped out of college, and was despairing, about the happiness that was yet to come.
Kevin?
Startled by my name being called, I turned around to see Sarah, walking towards me with a smile, waving her hand. Welcome back. You're home early today. Sarah approached me, slightly embarrassed, and said,
I left work early today to go to the doctor.
Are you okay? Is something wrong? I asked, surprised. Sarah didn't answer, but smiled brightly and pulled an ultrasound photo from her bag. Hiding half of her face with it, she looked at me with tears in her eyes.
It's 3 months.
Overwhelmed with joy, I instinctively hugged Sarah.
We're going to be parents.
She said that with tears in her voice. Oh, I wish I could tell my younger self that I am incredibly happy now.